Well, it all started with this. We are going to have a huge announcement on January 1st.
Someone I once believed to be one of the most rationally minded voices of conservatism seems to have just been in it for the money this whole time. But is Tim Pool really a fraud, or was the decision to sell his entire business to Daily Wire just a really bad deal at a really bad time? This is Hot Takes.
I don't like Chick-fil-A.
Taylor Swift is overrated.
If you drive a pickup truck for reasons that are other than employment related, I don't like you.
Listen to your friends who care about astrology.
Escape rooms are fun.
What is your hot take?
Drop a hot take.
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 Welcome back to Hot Takes. I'm your host, Ian Isaiah. This will probably be the last episode of the year, which is really exciting. So, Happy New Year to everyone. I'll see you all in 2025. We have some big plans coming up in 2025 I'm very excited about, as long as everything works according to plan. I may or may not have a couple things coming for you guys, and I'm just really excited about this. I'm also on the way to monetization. Let's go. That'll be key in making sure I can post more consistently for you guys. If I can get the monetization to work out, that's gonna be perfect.
Anyway.
So Tim Pool, the man behind Timcast, apparently recently made a decision to sell his entire brand to Daily Wire. Now, from what I can tell, there is not technically an official article stating this yet, but from what I can tell, it's happening. But of course, we'll know January 1st when this alleged business decision takes place. You can see right here's a post about it. Tim Pool selling out to the Daily Wire has made me lose my last ounce of respect for him. It finally makes sense why he did so many mental gymnastics for Israel. This was always his plan. And this is something you will see. People don't have the official statement from either Tim Pool or Daily Wire saying that he has sold Timcast to Daily Wire just yet, but instead people have pointed out some of the different posts that Tim Pool has made about Israel over the past couple months or so. And so this guy references this one right here. I take offense to the idea that I posted the Israeli flag as a means of generating engagement to make money on X. I posted it to troll people whose entire identity is based around Israel. Money wasn't part of the equation. Well, if there's one thing I've learned on the internet, and it's not always true, but it's just a precautionary tale, if you feel like you have to defend yourself like this, usually means there's some deeper meaning. And I'm not free of this either. I have done this before myself, but when I try to do it, I try to do it in video form so you guys can see, like, I'm just explaining myself and I'm not getting defensive about it. I just want to show exactly what I mean, exactly what I'm talking about. But when people do stuff like this, it just sounds like a cover-up. So I can't really support him in this way. And other people are pointing out that Israeli flag tweet as like maybe a confirmation. This person says, Tim Pool confirms sale to Daily Wire, and then retweets the Israeli flag. And see, here's the thing I don't understand about this business decision. If it's true, I wish I had the original post that told me all of these details, but allegedly, Daily Wire will take ownership of Timcast come January 2025. The cost for doing so, as long as he works for their show, from what I understand, is $1.5 million a year. Now, you cannot tell me that there's some element about the money that would make you do this. And so, Timcast, I've listened to you on and off before. You seem like such a rationally minded individual, but this seems like just a really bad business decision, especially when so much is happening surrounding the Brett Cooper situation at the very same time. But the thing I would say to you is it's not January yet. You still have time to reverse this business decision unless you've already signed some sort of contract that has bound you to this. And here's the thing that I don't get. It's not like Tim Pool is some small guy struggling with views and struggling with followers and all of that. He has almost 2 million followers on YouTube. And his show is not doing poorly at all. His show is near the top of the charts. So I just don't understand how you can say that it's not for the money when you're already doing so well by yourself. It doesn't make sense. And so, I mean, I guess we'll find out what happens, but my gut is telling me that this is a sellout move. And Timcast may have just become the sellout of the decade, or at least the sellout of the year. Because I just don't understand how you can still justify supporting a company like Daily Wire when they ousted one of their hosts, and quite possibly two of them, and most likely 2 of them, in 1 year. And again, to the people who say, oh, well, she made this decision herself, and I believe that. You may be right, but like I said in my first video, it could also be a situation like Hermie the elf from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You can't fire me, I quit.
You can't fire me, I quit.
Daily Wire may have had their mind set on firing her if she had not chosen to quit. So instead of being fired, she chose to leave. Does that make sense?
Ah, silly.
And so speaking of Brett Cooper, I'm sure this is the part of the video that you actually came to see. We do have more details on the situation now. And again, maybe they're not direct details, but we still gotta talk about them regardless. So I actually want to start with her speech from AmFest just a little bit over a week ago. And there were lots of good clips I could share from this speech, but there's one in particular that I want to share with you all. Take a listen.
It is the determination to one day be able to tell my future children that I stood firm in my beliefs, that I was not bullied into silence, that I fought to make the world better, and that I did it joyfully because it mattered. As I navigate life, I have had to learn that individual friends come and go, people will disappoint you, and sometimes alliances shift. The figures that I once trusted might fall short. Everyone goes through this, it's not just me. But on the other side of all of those changes and all of those disappointments is a better us. If we stick to the values and the principles that act as our guiding compass. So when the world feels uncertain, when people let you down, remember that it is not these fleeting moments or fleeting figures that define you. It is the legacy that you build through your actions, through your convictions, and through the love that you cultivate with those around you.
I mean, what a great clip. I mean, truly, this is a good clip and it is a good message. Don't let the people who are around you define who you are. You need to carve your own way. You need to carve your own legacy. And I think that's a very impactful speech. And I will say this is something that she has talked about before and she's talked about in her past when she was at UCLA and she said that she wasn't going to vote for a Democrat. And then afterwards, she got 2 communist manifestos chucked at her head. I totally understand how that situation where all of her friends turned on her because of who she was voting for. I totally understand how that could tie into this speech and maybe that's the situation she's talking about. But I also want people to consider that before she left the Daily Wire, she actually barely talked about AmFest like at all. And then after she got fired, she mentioned it like a whole bunch. And I know it was because, oh, it's coming up, but I still think that maybe that plays into this a little bit. And I feel like she has some inspiration from the recent situation going into the speech. Now, again, I know that this clip does not necessarily have any direct ties to the current situation, but I do think some of the wording of things in this speech is very interesting, especially when she says things like the alliances shift. Very interesting. And I just want to share that with y'all because I think it could be a further piece of evidence of the whole situation. Now, this next bit of information is something that it shouldn't make me happy, but it kind of does because so many people said I was crazy for saying this sort of thing. Now, I believe I mentioned this in my original video before she even got fired, before any of that, while it was still in the rumor phase, that if she were to be released from the Daily Wire or fired from the Daily Wire, whatever is going on, that it would have something to do with sharing beliefs with Candace. Now, to add my suspicion to the bucket, my 2 cents, I'm thinking a lot of it is leading back to Ben v. Candace. Because here's the other thing too. When Candace was fired from Daily Wire, Brett did not condemn her like the other hosts do. She did not stop talking about her. Brett still talked about Candace Owens, and she still even mentioned her in her videos. So my guess is that may be part of the reason why Daily Wire doesn't like Brett. And I've also mentioned that she was friends with Candace before this whole thing went down back in March with Candace. And she now seems to be buddy-buddies with Candace again now, after this whole situation went down with her. But again, it seemed like she couldn't really speak with Candace, at least not publicly, for that 8 months in between. Well, now, we may have just found confirmation that that might be right. This person posted on X, this explains her being fired. Brett Cooper liked Candace Owens' post calling Israel's actions in Gaza genocide. This comes amid speculation that she was fired for disagreeing with Daily Wire executives' unconditional support for Israel. And you can see right here, and I have a video of this as well. Candace posted this video here and says, "I won't apologize for saying the truth. liked by Brett Cooper and others.
Bibi Netanyahu has done to the Palestinians since October 7th is a Holocaust. It is a Holocaust that is being committed on Palestinian children and women. And I'm not going to quiet my perspective on that, to kowtow to whatever the prevailing narrative is at the New.
Well, it ain't too late to say I was right. And I knew it. I just knew this had to be what happened because it doesn't make sense for any other reason why they would get rid of their top star, even if it was a money issue. That makes absolutely no sense on Daily Wire's part. Why they wouldn't pay her more if she asked for it. That makes no sense. She's your top actress. She's your highest form of income other than maybe Daily Wire Plus. And I'm not even sure if that's true. So why would you get rid of her at her peak? Because perhaps she asked for more money. That makes absolutely zero sense. That is bonkers. Especially when she was the actress in your upcoming movie, which was probably about to be a big hit for you, but now that whole project seems to be scrapped. And so people will say that maybe that's the reason. I am not buying it any longer. I think this is confirmation of the reason why. Because Brett Cooper was not Zionist enough for them. Brett Cooper was not pro-Israel enough for them. And so now, because of that, just like it was with Candace, she's now, bye-bye, don't let the door hit you on the way out. All because she chose to have an opinion about Israel that didn't align with her boss. So much for a free speech platform, huh, Daily Wire? So just as one last little Easter egg for you guys, one more Easter egg, perhaps, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna give it to you. Here's Brett's best friend, her real best friend, Amir's story from a few days ago. I've known Brett and her mom since 2020. Y'all, I cannot express enough how proud I am of her with all the unbelievable things she's gone through. This woman is resilient and moves through life, always has, with gratitude and love. Now again, this slide could be referencing things that have happened to Brett in the past. She's talked about growing up in a very broken home where her brother died when she was young, another brother is schizophrenic, and her parents gave her a very, very rocky situation growing up. And she's talked about all of this before, so yes, I'm sure she has been through a lot. But again, why are we talking about this now? It's very weird. And again, I guess because of the TPUSA speech? Sure. But with all of the other information circulating right now, but again, that wasn't the slide I really want you to see. It's this one. And if there's one thing I've learned this year, it's that fraudulent, soulless, and broken people run amongst us all every day. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer is a statement I knew existed, but I didn't know that people actually follow it. Pay attention to the people in your life, how they move and how they act. Who you once thought was a ride or die can easily ride off without you. Doesn't matter the industry, doesn't matter the job. These kinds of people are everywhere, and the only thing you can do to prepare yourself to be wronged is to have a firm foundation with yourself. If you know you're good, no one can do no good against you because those that do will never know the feeling of going to bed with a smile on their face, happy with the decisions that they've made. You can't help what happens to you in life, but you control how you respond 100% of the time. Wow. What a mic drop. I mean, there's so many things in this speech that we could talk about. And this came immediately after the post that he made about Brett. They were both right next to each other on his story. And the thing is, Amir is independent. Yes, he produces content, but he's independent. So why would he be making a post like this talking about things that he's learned this year when he is not in that situation himself? And the paragraph I really want you to listen to, and the paragraph I really want you to marinate on. Let's read it again. Pay attention to the people in your life, how they move and how they act. Who you once thought was a ride or die can easily ride off without you. What a statement. If that doesn't tell you what's going on, I don't know what else does. I'm just being so for real about this. And so that's his side of the story. And again, maybe he doesn't really know what the situation is. Maybe Brett could have lied to him. That is possible. Not a very good friend if you're lying to your friend about the situation, but I also know she's under NDA, so she can't really tell the full truth about the situation. But of course, as of right now, and probably will remain forever, the only two people who will truly know the situation are Brett and Jeremy Boring. And maybe Ben Shapiro, maybe there's three. But as people have pointed out, considering Brett still follows Ben Shapiro, he might not even know. It may just be between Brett and Jeremy Boring. And so that's Amir's take on the situation. There was also a video put out by REAGAN'S cousin on this situation. Apparently, immediately after she posted that video, she quickly deleted it, but we still do have the proof of that video. However, it's just far too long for me to share with you guys in this video. So instead, I'm gonna link it below and I'll show it to you right now in the video. But she made this video to defend REAGAN, said all the different things that she said about her, saying how she's always wanted to be in conservative media and she doesn't really know all the different workings behind this. She was stuck between a rock and a hard place. She could have gone with Brett, but made significantly less money, or she could have kept the job at Daily Wire that they were offering her, but lose her best friend. And again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying about Tim Pool. It's not authentic if you're in it for the money. And the cousin was talking about how she pushed REAGAN to take the position because, oh, well, what would you do? Feelings for your friend decide. That to me is a lousy, lousy way to do that. Because I don't know about you, but for me, I would rather be broke and have friends than have all the money in the world and have nothing else. Because you will find out, especially from a lot of these celebrities, they have all of this money and they never felt more depressed and alone. Because money doesn't satisfy. And so I'm sure that's why this video got taken down, because a lot of people were pointing stuff out like that. But still, I want you to go look at this whole video for yourself. We'll see how long it stays up, where it is right now. But I just wanted to share that with you guys because that's also another piece of information from the other side, possibly justifying this whole situation. And maybe she's right. Maybe Brett Cooper is the mean girl in this whole situation, and REAGAN was just doing what she thought to be best. But as for me, I'm just not buying that with everything else we have pointed out on this situation. I mean, this is my third video on the topic on YouTube, and I have all of this information I've presented to everybody. And then I've had, I think, 4 other videos on other platforms about the situation. So this is now my 7th video on the matter with all of the information I've presented. I mean, there's so much out there on this situation. I don't know how people can justify this being any other way. So for some reason, apparently my camera cut out on the last 5 minutes of footage in my closing remarks yesterday. So anyway, what I was saying was Brett Cooper may have very well quit on her own, but I also think she quit because she had to, or otherwise they were going to force her to. And I also think she had to quit because of stances she took that were similar to Candace's. And now I'm wondering if REAGAN is guilty of the same thing that timcast is, just in it for the money. Because I really want to like REAGAN. I do. And I've said this before, as I do want to like timcast. But if REAGAN really wants to do this for the journalism, and she's not just doing it for the money, why would she do this? And why would she not get out now? And same thing with Tim Pool. I really do think at this point he's just in it for the money. Because again, he has this huge successful show with lots of streams, lots of followers, and I'm sure he's already financially well off, but apparently that's just not enough and he has to aim for something bigger. And hey, like I said at the beginning, I am not shaming monetizing your journalism. Obviously, there are people who do this as a full-time job and therefore they need to be able to earn a livable wage off of it. The problem becomes when the money seems to be more of a priority than the journalism. And so when that happens, especially when it feels like you're compromising on your own morals just to make a buck, that is when it becomes problematic. And that, I think, is what Tim Pool has done, and I also think it is what REAGAN Conrad has done. And with that, the 2024 season has come to a close. If you enjoyed, make sure to follow me for more content on TikTok, Instagram, and Clapper, just in case TikTok gets banned, at Ian Talks Hot Takes, and on X at II Talks Hot Takes. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a happy new year, and I'll catch you next time.